everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to DC. I just wanted to open it up today and basically welcome you and hope you enjoy today's events and a chance to experience a slice of life here in Washington. I'm Angela Barranco. I'm the Director of Public Engagement at CEQ. And I just want to let you know that today's events are live streamed online. So hi, everyone, tuning in online. You can join the conversation with the hashtag environmental education, or, and forgive me here, hashtag PEYA, Yay Youth Awards, or hashtag PIAEE. So congratulations to all our students. We are so proud of all of you and our teachers, both your winners and honorable mentions. It gives me such a great pleasure today to have the opportunity to recognize you for the Presidential Environmental Youth Award and the Presidential Innovation Award for Environmental Educators. And many thanks to the many parents and sponsors who have supported you along the way as mentors and as teachers. Your work is essential for getting our young people interested and involved in environmental stewardship. I would also like to recognize the fellow students, teachers, administrators, and community members who have supported your efforts to integrate environmental education into your classrooms, school learning environment, and the community. Your help and encouragement are truly invaluable. And one final note of thanks to the EPA regional coordinators and headquarters staff that make these incredible programs possible. These environmental education awards are the most important way our agency and administration acknowledge the important contributions that our nation's youth and teachers make to environmental stewardship and protection. Well, now without further ado, I want to introduce you to someone who has played a pivotal role in development of environmental education curriculum in Virginia and nationwide, including courses focused on green building design and renewable technologies. A winner of this year's Presidential Innovation Award for Environmental Educators, and someone who shares my fantastic name. Please join me in welcoming Angela Whitaker.
Good morning. As she said, my name is Angela Whitaker, and I'm from Central Virginia and one of this year's Teacher Award winners. The program that I am receiving the award for involves the development of some career and technical education courses in sustainability and renewable energy that are recognized at the state level in Virginia, creating some middle school outdoor learning classes that I also teach, and working to integrate the national standards for sustainability into our K-12 curriculum in Cumberland. Our approach to our environmental education puts students in the driver's seat. It really allows them to identify the environmental, social, and economic issues in our local area, and then to develop and implement sustainable solutions that they can own in their community. And while my students are engaged in addressing these issues at our local level, our next speaker is addressing them at the global level, which both are so critically important. He has helped to coordinate the administration's work on the President's Climate Action Plan, the establishment of the new national monuments that permanently protect the unique American sites, the development of the nation's first comprehensive national oceans policy, yay, and the President's Federal Sustainable Initiative to reduce energy use and pollution across the federal government, among other environmental priorities. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you the Acting Chair of the White House Council for the Environmental Quality, Mr. Mike Boots.
Thank you, Angela, for that introduction, but also for your incredible commitment. She was just telling me a story. For those of you that don't know, she has been a teacher for about 20 years now, but was saying several years ago, almost a decade ago, she was really trying to figure out what to do next and in terms of education, and realized that while she wanted to work on environmental education, there was just no curriculum out there. So she created her own, and it has been just a great resource for kids across Virginia and across the country. So thank you for doing that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Washington. Welcome to the White House. It's great to have you here. And first and foremost, we just want to say a big congratulations to all of the winners here today. Like Angela, you all are doing great work that fulfills what the president calls our moral obligation to make sure that we don't leave behind a planet that's polluted and damaged. And so we are so thrilled that you are getting some recognition from the president for all of your efforts that you've been doing on that front, and it's so, so richly deserved. You know, in my role leading the White House Council on Environmental Quality, I spend a lot of time thinking about how the administration can work to address the global threat of climate change and a whole host of other environmental threats. And whenever you spend time thinking about a problem that complex and that far-reaching and something that has implications for all of us, you naturally begin to wonder about what the impact will be on our kids and on their kids. And I think for other parents in the room like me, and for certainly all the teachers in the room, you can attest to that sense of responsibility. And so that makes it all the more inspiring for me to be in a room here with all of you today, both for all of the students who understand the really simple truth that what we do to our planet matters, and to all the teachers in the room who have dedicated your lives year after year to teaching that lesson. And so this kind of education that Angela and others have been talking about is so, so important. If we are going to be able to tackle these complex environmental challenges, whether they're climate change or protecting our clean air and clean water from threats, we are going to need to have a generation of leaders who are well-equipped and who don't shy away from these complex environmental problems, but more important than that, who have the necessary skills to solve them. And so that's why EPA and other folks across the administration are spending so much time trying to expand, to accelerate, to encourage environmental education across this country. And it's why we need to continue to invest in professional development for educators. It's why we need to continue to invest in resources for schools so that you all have the tools you need for courses like math and science and technology and engineering and social studies and communications, all those tools that are going to be necessary both to tackle and critically analyze those environmental problems, but also figure out the ways to solve them. I don't want to take up more time here. You've got a great agenda ahead of you and a really good day planned for you. But I do want to just say thank you again for all the work that you've done and for all the work that I know you'll continue to do when you go back home to your communities. I want to also thank you for your passion and the creativity that you bring to this work. It's sometimes lost when you're inside the Beltway about all the people out there that are doing this tremendous, tremendous work. But the passion and creativity and the leadership that you all are bringing to this is really substantial and noticed. And so I want you to know that the President and all of us here at the White House stand firmly behind you in the work that you're doing, and thank you for dedicating yourselves to it. And with that, I have the pleasure of introducing Mei Wang, who has clearly already developed some of the complex problem-solving skills that I was just talking about. Mei is doing some really great research on how to remove harmful chemicals from water supplies and is already thinking about the future in terms of how water treatment systems can implement some of her findings. And so please help me welcome Mei Wang.
Hello, my name is Mei Wang. I'm a Presidential Environmental Youth Award winner, and I am here today because of my project, which was graciously advised by Professor Jeffrey Field at the University of Pennsylvania. My project was focused on finding a practical yet effective way of filtering bisphenol A, or BPA, from water. BPA is a chemical that is disruptive to ecosystems because of its estrogenic nature, but it is unfortunately found quite frequently in aquatic environments. My experiment found that activated charcoal, or porous carbon particles, can be used to repeatedly filter BPA from water. My hope is that activated charcoal can present an additional method of keeping our waterways healthy. I am pleased and honored to announce our next speaker, Dr. John Holdren, who is the Assistant to the President for Science and Technology, Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and co-chair of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. He has been a professor at both Harvard University and the University of California at Berkeley, and has held leadership positions at Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government, the Woods Hole Research Center, and in the Clinton administration. Dr. Holdren's many honors include a MacArthur Fellowship, the Volvo Environmental Prize, the John Hines Prize in Public Policy, and the Tyler Prize for Environmental Achievement. His work has focused on global climate change and energy technology policy, and he has advised the President on critical environmental issues, most recently on carbon dioxide emissions reduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. John Holdren.
Thank you very much, May, and let me add my good morning and my welcome, not just on my own behalf, but on behalf of President Obama. If he weren't on vacation, I'm sure he'd be welcoming you personally, because he is very excited about the domain of environmental education and what the outstanding leaders here this morning are being honored for. I do want to take a moment to thank Gina McCarthy and the Environmental Protection Agency for the extraordinary work that they do on environmental issues, including, of course, the very important work that Gina is leading to help implement the Climate Action Plan and face up to and respond appropriately to the challenge of global climate change. I'm really delighted to have the opportunity to address this very distinguished group of award winners and others in the room, environmental and education leaders all. All of you are engaged in the crucial business of lifting our game nationally in environmental education, ensuring that America's young people have the skills and the tools and the knowledge to build a sustainable future for this country and to do their part for building a sustainable future for the world. Are we not getting quite enough amplification here? I think one of the characteristics of climate change that's being experienced around the country is more heavy downpours, and what you are hearing from the roof is a heavy downpour, which is apparently affecting folks' ability to hear. So I will try to talk a little closer to the mic. It's, I think, obvious to everybody that one of the most urgent challenges in this space is the climate change challenge. President Obama is leading the charge on that challenge with the help of EPA and Gina McCarthy, with the help of NOAA, with the help of the Department of Interior, the Department of Energy, CEQ. We're all in this together. The President continuously refers to the need for all hands on deck, and that is also what this gathering is about, how we continue to bring all hands on deck to do the work of environmental education, increasing climate literacy around the country. In early May, the administration released the third national assessment of climate change impacts on the United States. That document sounded the loudest alarm bell, and I would say the clearest alarm bell to date, about how climate change is already affecting conditions where people live and where they work. It's geographically disaggregated into 8 regions around the country, looking specifically at how climate change is affecting and will continue to affect well-being in all of those regions and across major sectors of the U.S. economy. Energy, water, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and so on. The report confirms that climate change is not just a distant threat, it is something that is happening now. Communities in the Northeast are being affected by more extreme rainfall events, and sometimes people outside the Northeast are being affected by extreme rainfall events, as we note. Drought and increased warming in the West are intensifying the wildfire season. We're seeing that happen right now. Along our coasts, homes and valuable coastal infrastructure are at risk from sea level rise and storm surge. We have a big set of challenges on our hands. That report, the National Climate Assessment, was produced over a period of 4 years by hundreds of authors, scientists, planners, and other experts, not just from government, from universities, from private sector, from nonprofits. And their report is stuffed with relevant findings. It's all on the web, 839 pages plus appendices. There is a 100-page highlights version and a 20-page summary version also available. And our task, our challenge, and our opportunity is to get more of that information from that National Climate Assessment into the hands of everybody around the country who needs to understand what is going on and what we can do about it. And this, of course, is where the folks in this room come in. Today, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, along with collaborators from inside and outside the government, is releasing a new set of digital guides that will steer educators and students to the relevant findings of the National Climate Assessment for each U.S. region. These materials, which link the regional findings of the National Climate Assessment to other relevant information, to images, to lesson plans, to videos, and other resources for educators, will be deployed through the Teaching Climate portal of NOAA's website, which is climate.gov. Not hard to remember, climate.gov. Please go there and look for the Teaching Climate portal, and you will find all these goodies. And when you find them, please call them to the attention of your colleagues and your networks. This is just one example of the many ways that we can work together to create a skilled and environmentally literate populace for the challenges that we're facing. Of course, it continues to be incredibly important for us in Washington to interact with leaders like the folks in this room, students, teachers, environmental education superstars, to listen to your ideas, to try to answer your questions, and to hear how we can help and how we can help you inspire the nation's talent pool to address the climate change challenge. That's why this afternoon we're going to be holding listening sessions here at the White House to gather your thoughts on how the federal government can better support your efforts in climate and environmental education. We want to hear from you, the awardees, the experts who are assembled here, about needs and opportunities in this urgently important domain. Building on your feedback, building on what we get from you, we're going to be fostering additional collaborations across the education community with the participation of schools, community colleges, universities, government partners, the philanthropic and private sectors, again, to get all hands on deck to educate the next generation of environmental leaders and indeed to educate the public so we have the degree of climate literacy needed to support the policies that we will be putting in place. Let me just close by offering my heartiest congratulations and President Obama's to all of the winners for your accomplishments to date, and also our thanks for what you will continue to do in pursuing and transmitting the environmental knowledge that is going to be so crucial to the future of our country and to the future of the world. And I now, with that, I want to turn the podium over to Deepika Karup, who will introduce the administrator.
Hello, everybody. My name is Deepika Karup, and I'm a rising junior at Nashua High School South in Nashua, New Hampshire. I am a President's Environmental Youth Award winner, and I'm here today because of my project on solving the global water crisis through the application of science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM. In my project, I created a green, sustainable, and cost-effective composite that uses solar energy in order to purify water. I also love spreading awareness about the importance of clean water. I'm honored to introduce our next speaker, the Administrator of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Gina McCarthy. For over 3 decades, she has worked on critical environmental issues and has helped coordinate policies on economic growth, energy, transportation, and the environment. Ms. McCarthy is a leading advocate on climate change education and strongly believes that children should have an understanding of climate science. She's an outstanding role model and inspiration for young women like me to become the leaders of tomorrow. Please welcome EPA Administrator and my fellow Boston Red Sox fan, Gina McCarthy.
Go Red Sox, all right. Thanks, everybody, for being here, and it's great to be following John and Mike and others for their great words on all the work that EPA is doing in fact, the leadership of President Obama and what he's bringing to the table to help us face our environmental challenges moving forward. Deepika, I was worried about you because you were sitting up so straight. I thought you were nervous. I don't know what I was thinking about. You know, when you have somebody who is a rising junior who has already solved all the rural water challenges that the world faces, I guess I shouldn't have been nervous for you because you did a great job. Make sure you tell your science teacher that you get an A. Yeah, I bet you already got an A. Okay, tell her you got to take the summer off. Oh, you probably already got the summer. Well, tell her I said you're pretty cool. And I also want to thank CEQ, and I want to thank EPA's Environmental Education Office for pulling the event together. It really is one of the most fun events that we can do every year together, and I hope we keep doing that. You really are an inspiration to all of us, and I am speaking both to the students who are working so hard and seeing things that I am sure I never saw when I was their age, and to all the teachers who are dedicating their lives, frankly, for everything that we work for, to keep it moving forward, to understand what it means to be living in a big, large, complicated world, and to recognize that human beings are just one little species that try to habitate this, and we're not being very kind to the other species that are also struggling to survive. And so we have to think new thoughts and big thoughts and be visionaries. And every day you bring that to the table. My father was a teacher for 40 years in the Boston Public Schools. I think when he retired, he made about $35,000. I have never met a happier person in my life. And I am equally trying to make as little as he did and succeeding very well. But I am happy. But I know you guys come from all over the country, and one of the most impressive things to see all of the projects that you're working on, and frankly also to read about the style of teaching that the teachers of today are trying to put into practice at a time when we all know that teaching is a very difficult profession. It's very difficult to bring anything creative, so God bless you for doing that. I can't thank you enough because frankly the challenges that we're facing in the environmental world really deserve new eyes to look at them. They do need new ways of thinking and teaching. And so I am so excited to be highlighting some of this and giving you awards both as teachers and students for all the great work that you're doing. But I want to talk to the kids for a minute because kids, I was really worried about you. I am 60 years old, so I am old. And you know, anybody old says, oh, that new generation, Well, I was worried about you. You know why? Because you hang out at home all the time. You're indoors, you're playing video games. And my worry was that you'd never care about the environment because you weren't outside and playing. But I was wrong. You're here, you've proven me wrong. This is the coolest thing. When I was in Connecticut, I was so obsessed with this. I ran the environmental agency there that I created this program called No Child Left Inside. Now teachers will appreciate that as a logo. And what we did was we took kids and their families and we ran them around every Saturday to different parks. And we brought our biologists, we brought our climate specialists, we brought our fisheries guys, we brought our wildlife guys. We taught kids how to fish, how to kayak, we showed them the biology of our rivers and streams, why wetlands work, and we had a great time. But you know, it takes way more than exposing kids to the outside, and you've taught me that. And I appreciate that very much for all the work you're doing. And please get outside and play, okay? Just get outside. See the real world. Experience how complicated it is. Go in the woods and turn over a log. There's an ecosystem under there. There's a community. There's actually a city of bugs that live there that are fascinating because we don't know anything about what they do or how important they are to that ecosystem. Because one of the challenges of today is the more we learn, the more we realize how we don't know anything. And that's the challenge of how when we interrupt the natural world, we're not exactly sure how to fix it. So one of the biggest challenges we have is not to interrupt it, to actually live with it and in concert with it. so that we can actually preserve this world and hand it over to all of you young environmental stewards who won't make the same mistakes that we did. Now, I will also tell you that some of you are a total threat to me, because I know you are going to be the next environmental administrators who actually point back and say, what a stupid decision that was, on the basis of everything I know, if she had only been smarter, or if she had only known the science of today. But I am so excited for that. But you know, there is an old African quote that's always guided me in the work that I do, and what it says is, that we will conserve only what we love, we will love only what we know, and we will know only what we are taught. So I really want to give a boost to the teachers in this audience, because these kids, while they're smart, it usually makes them more obnoxious. You know that, I know that, let's admit it. There is a level of understanding and engagement that you are trying to bring to your work that I think is essential. It's trying to connect things that haven't been connected before. And I just want to mention a couple of those things. One is that I want to mention, and I know Laura Wilbanks will be getting her due as the Bartlett winner, but the way she not only brings kids outside, but she connects the dots and brings the issues to life. So it's not just STEM, but it's how do you teach STEM in a different way so it means something in people's lives. So these kids can go home and live differently with a deeper understanding of what it means to live in the world today and how we bring new solutions to the table. So it's making those things come to life. I will never forget the disappointment in my daughter, on my face, when my daughter came home from her first chemistry and said, why do I need to know the density of a molecule? I'm like, have you ever tried to clean up an oil spill? You got to know what floats and what goes down. Let's talk about these things. She didn't know it. She didn't know it till she got into college. We have to change that. We have to understand that. And Laura's bringing that to the table. And I want to talk about one more person, and that's Nathaniel Wright. Now, I just met Nathaniel, and I'm hoping that just because he works in the Bronx, he's not a Yankees fan, but we'll deal with that in due time. The reason why I wanted to talk about Nathaniel is that he's doing a little bit different type of teaching. He's teaching construction trades. He's teaching things that people do every day where they need to have jobs, but he's teaching about HVAC systems, about heating and air conditioning systems, about how to build homes, about how to build buildings. The school that he has helped to create has a green roof, not just the old standard stuff you look at. And he's teaching that in a way that he's bringing sustainability to the table as he's teaching it. He is making it real in trades that we need people to get real about. These are hugely important steps forward. And I'll tell you why, for two reasons. One is that the environmental problems we face today are more challenging and less visible than ever before. When it was the 60s, when I was growing up and then getting into environmental work, it was easy to see why. The smokestacks were spewing out black smoke. The rivers were burning because of all the chemicals that you put into it. They never worried about bisphenol A. They didn't know about it. They didn't need to because everything was not doing well. So as a result of that, everybody rallied, everybody did laws, EPA was created, EPA's sole job is to do public health and the environment. Yippee, best agency in the United States government or anywhere, best mission, best people. But the challenge is that today we've taken care of all those visible things, or a lot of them. We haven't done it everywhere. There's challenges that remain. And the more we know, the more we realize that it's what we can't see. That's the problem. It's the bisphenol A that takes science to address it and creativity like yours may to bring it to the table and to figure out how to solve it. It's about rural areas like you work in, and are focused on, that have challenges of getting infrastructure into it. How do they deal with water purification? Can we use a renewable source to bring that to the table? These are issues that will change the world, and you're going to change it. You're going to change it. Now the other challenge we face is that the issues are complicated. It's no longer just the black smoke. Now we know it's the particulate matter that really matters. It's the fine particles that I can't see. And guess what? Just because I can't see it, it doesn't mean it isn't hurting people. Because now we know from following the science and the law that it actually is, and we also know that if we work this well, we're going to drive the solutions into the market that bring them to the table. EPA has done it. For 40 years, we've been working on air pollution issues, and as a result, we have 70% less pollution and also have tripled the GDP. This is not about challenging, do we work on our environment and be do-gooders, or do we do the economy and bring jobs? I live in Boston, Massachusetts. If we did not clean up Boston Harbor, I would not be living in Boston, Massachusetts, because it wouldn't be the place it is today. It wouldn't be growing, it wouldn't be vibrant, and it wouldn't be healthy. And it's all of those and way more to me. So this isn't about pie in the sky or way future generations. It's about the generation today, it's about the teachers of today, and it's about you kids. And it's about President Obama, who understands that these issues are complicated, that it is an all hands on deck, that we have a great administration that's focusing on perhaps the greatest challenge of our time, which is the challenge of climate change. He knows that it is a moral obligation for us to work on a challenge of this magnitude, and we have to work on it as an administration together, and we have to work on it with you guys as the next generation, and we also have to hand you the tools and the information so that you can step up to the plate and you can also participate even at your young ages, because you can change your communities now. You can change what you do in your families. You can change the car you drive. You know, you can aggravate the heck out of your parents and tell them to get rid of that gas guzzler, go to these new energy efficient cars that President Obama is going to be delivering over the next few months and years. You can change the world today, you can change it tomorrow, and thankfully you have teachers who can bring you the kind of challenges and visioning and opportunities that will allow you to think through these issues and become the next generation of environmental stewards. And as President Obama has so clearly said over and over again, it is our moral obligation to address these environmental challenges and the challenge of climate change together. And we are stepping up to that challenge, and you will always now be a part of it. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. Now that I've told you how cool you are, you can ask me a few questions. I think we have someone who's going to step up
we
and
have,
take care of these.
Administrator, we have Paul
Where are you?
Ritter, one of our teacher winners over here.
Oh, hey, Ryan.
Hi, how are you?
My question today is, how can the White House empower students across America to work with our nation to solve problems such as climate change and other environmental issues? In other words, how can we develop a network of students to engage in solving our environmental issues that we have today?
That is a really good question, and I think today is a small example of what we can do and what we can begin to do, but it clearly we need to do a lot more. It's a great start. I would also like to figure out how we recognize the teachers that are here and their style of teaching and the emphasis they put on it. You know, at a time when you're looking at doing all kinds of testing for core learning, you sometimes don't have the ability to put that learning in context for kids, in important context. And so it's all about networking. Now, I think that this is a great start, but I don't think that any of us know how to network like these young people here. I know I don't. I did my first Google chat, totally blown away, really fun. I reached 70,000 people in like a minute and a half. I'm like, I'm doing another one of these. I don't know what they are or how they work, but my face is there and I'm gonna keep talking. It was a great opportunity. Network. You know, many states have environmental education programs. Figure out how to reach those. Connect the dots. Talk about what you do. Start doing all the Twitter, all the stuff that you do. and really get it going. The other way that you can do it is just become a factor in your own communities. I have met kids that are outstanding leaders in their own community, and they're 10 years old. I remember giving an environmental education award to two kids who went around and they signed up people for renewable energy. Because if you got 100 families to agree to purchase their electricity from renewable sources, then their school would get a solar panel. And schools were going up in solar panels all over the place. I mean, schools were having solar panels all over the place as a result of kids going door to door, just banging on them and telling people this is a good thing to do, and they got stuff done. So don't be afraid to go out in your communities, and don't be afraid to participate in all the work that we're doing at the federal level. You can send in a comment on a rule just like anybody can. You can tell us how important it is. When we're doing this big rule to reduce carbon pollution that causes climate change in our power sector. And we had mums and daughters groups and mums and kids groups all over the place at those hearings, talking about the importance of climate change from a public health perspective. You could be there too. You could write in. You could organize groups in your own community. You could really be supportive of your own teachers and tell everybody how great these teachers are and how they bring learning to life for you. Maybe we'll get a little bit less rigid about the way we teach things, and a little bit more focus will be put on what kids are learning, because that would be really cool. So there's lots of things we can do together. And if any of the teachers or students have ideas about what else we could do to help you connect and reconnect, please let me know, because I'm sure it would be something we'd want to do.
Okay, one more question. Another from our teacher winner.
What are the 3 top environmental jobs most important to the Obama administration that PEYA and other young people could aspire to?
Oh my Lord, I have to pick 3. Mine, that would be good. Mine is good. I actually think you should, because I never did. I had no idea that I could ever end up doing this. And you guys are way ahead of where I was. So go for it. I think Mike would like somebody to take his place soon, Mike Boots, because CEQ is really important, because EPA, as I've told you, does a lot of work on water and waste and soil and air quality, and we do great work. We have right now about 16,000 people working for us. They're all in the field doing great things. Heather McTeer-Tony is here, who is our regional administrator in Region 4. She does really fun stuff. I mean, the point is you can go into public service if you want and do great things and have an opportunity to really excel if you know science, if you know even the law, if you even know economics, if you even like politics, if you like social studies, which I did. There's all kinds of ways in which you can get into these careers and excel. You can also focus on the more traditional work. I mentioned Nathaniel and the work that he does. You can go into the trades and still be a good environmentalist with good jobs and learn how to build the homes of the future. Build office buildings that are healthy and that are vibrant. These are things that are happening today that you could bring new vision to. That's why STEM careers are so important. It's really important to focus on science, on technology, on engineering, on math. I hated math. Are you with me? Oh, come on. You like math? I would never have gotten an environmental education award. I assumed that would be the case. Now I know for sure. I actually wanted to, when I went to graduate school, I thought it'd be really great to be an epidemiologist. You guys know what epidemiologist is? You probably do. You like math and you probably know what epidemiologist is. Basically, it's tracking the incidences of health problems so that you can figure out what the causes are, until I took a biostatistics course, and then it blew it all away. I knew this career was not for me. But you could do better. There are awesome careers. And last, don't forget, you guys have already mentioned how entrepreneurial you are, how you're not just understanding connections between things and how complicated they are, but you're finding solutions. Business people matter. Business people who care about the environment and sustainability are all out there all over the place. Business is not our enemy of the environment. It is absolutely the place that produces the solutions and brings them to the people in ways that we can all afford and enjoy, that improves our lives. Be in business. Drive those innovations. We need new monitoring technologies. I could make a list. I have a lot of needs. We need new monitoring technologies that actually can help us do our jobs remotely, so that I don't need to have 150,000 people running around inspecting. I could have eyes in the sky, and I could have direct monitors that are there that can do this work. There are so many things, and we could have great opportunities for water purification and for keeping our streams clean of pollutants we never ever heard of before or realized that would happen. And there's all kinds of opportunities that you have to actually bring what the lessons that your teachers have taught you into all of the work that you might want to do. There are great jobs in the public sector. I want to encourage you to think about public service. It is honorable. You will never actually die rich, money-wise, but you will be one of the richest people I know if you spend your life that way as I have. Thank you all very much.